Did you know that Zenless Zone Zero is releasing in just a couple of days? Okay, but did you know that you can get one of the best characters in the game for free? That's right. Ben Bigger is free upon completing Chapter 2 of the story in Zenless Zone Zero. Not only this, his damage output and overall potential is absolutely crazy, especially for an A rank unit. Today, we're gonna break everything down about the lovable bear, from his kit all the way to the best builds for him. After following this guide, you will be able to maximize everything for Ben Bigger. Let's do this. Mr. Bigger is an A-rank fire defense style character. He belongs to the construction company Belobog Heavy Industries. Wielding his mighty pillar, this bear has a lovable heart, but isn't afraid to beat up some thugs. He's currently working at Belobog Heavy Industries as the head of finance, so our friendly neighborhood bear is very fiscally responsible. In the Zenless story, you will meet Mr. Bigger during Chapter 2, but don't worry, there won't be any spoilers here. All in all, Ben is one of my favorite characters in the entire game, and he is really well designed. But that's enough about his background, cause now it's time to break down Ben's kit and showcase why he is one of the better units in the game. Ben Bigger is an A-rank fire defense unit who specializes in strike, and that will be important later on during the team synergy section. He will primarily focus on his defense, as that is his best stat to increase his overall damage. Overall, his kit is pretty simplistic, so let's start with his basic attack. Ben will unleash 3 total strikes that will all deal physical damage. Not much else to say for that. The most important move in all of Ben's kit is his special attack. This will also feature his primary form of damage output and optimization. After pressing the special button, Ben will enter a defense stance, giving a shield worth a total of 16%. When he takes a hit or exits this stance, he will attack, dealing physical damage. That's right, it's a parry, but not of the platypus kind. You can also press the special attack button while holding defense stance to instantly strike forward. However, note that the stance will be cancelled if Ben makes any other attacks. His anti-interrupt will also increase while he is casting the special. This basically just means that it's going to be a lot harder for any enemies to interrupt it. But here's the crucial thing about his special attack. If you perfectly time this parry right as Ben is about to take damage, you will trigger the perfect block. This will completely negate all incoming damage and deal massive physical damage to the enemy. Ben Bigger's EX special attack is called Cash Flow Counter. Remember that EX special attacks use this energy meter when it's full. Cash Flow Counter will work almost identically to the version without energy. He will enter the enhanced defense state, blocking all damage taken, which will all deal massive fire damage. You can also perfect parry in this EX special, which will deal even more damage. Like before, you can hit the special button while in the defense stance to instantly strike the surrounding enemies. If this button is hit after the EX special attack, Ben will launch a follow-up attack, Forward Strike, dealing fire damage. The defense state and perfect parry are literally some of the greatest damage you can achieve in the game with the right team compositions and builds. Seeing as how Ben also scales primarily with his defense stat, as he does more and more damage, he will become even tankier. Ben was one of my favorites to use in the beta for this reason. Shoutouts to all the Chinese CBT players, by the way, because they were able to do some insane shenanigans with Ben Bigger. But we do have some more of his moveset we need to attend to. The bear's dash attack is called Incoming Expense. Pressing basic attack after a dodge will activate this strike, dealing physical damage, while his dodge counter, Account Settled, will do the same, but will deal more damage, and Ben will be invulnerable during this attack. When Mr. Bigger's decibel rating is at 3000, which is the max, you can press Q to use his ultimate, Complete Payback. Ben will throw his pillar up into the air and unleash a powerful strike to enemies in a large area, dealing fire damage. He also has invulnerability during this time. Let's look at the final part of his kit, the passives and core skills. As you level up any unit in Zenless Zone Zero, more and more of these will be unlocked. Ben's first passive is called Guardian. This will state that Ben's attack will increase by 30% of his defense stat. In addition, when Ben launches that follow-up attack mentioned during his EX special, he gains a shield worth 12.5% of his defense. That lasts 30 seconds. That's a lot of shield. His second passive is where his team synergies will lie. Contractual agreement says that when another character in your squad shares the same fire attribute or faction, crit rate is increased by 16% when the shield from Guardian is in effect. If I recall correctly, this does apply to the other units, but all of this is still subject to change until we know for sure on the launch. So with all of this, Ben's kit is pretty easy to comprehend. Compared to our first banner character, Ellen, who I did another big guide for, his kit is super simple. It may take some time to master that perfect block timing though. However, if you do get really good and master that timing, Ben has some of the best damage in the game, and he's a free unit. Wrapping up this little combat section, make sure to stack that defense as it is his best stat. This will improve his shields, damage, and overall optimization so he can be an absolute unit. Now you see why I have so much fun saying Ben Bigger. Additionally, being an A rank unit also means that his talents, or eidolons in Honkai Star Rail, are way more accessible. Since the CBT3, I would expect some slight changes with talents, although not too bad. These are available to look at in the game, but because of that fact, I will spare them here. Just know that in the closed beta, Talent 1 and Talent 2 were absolutely bonkers for him. These aren't the most important things to worry about right when you get Ben though, so just keep these in mind as you progress through the game. Let's quickly talk about his team synergies, and then we'll finally get to the best builds for Ben Bigger. Namely, we just need to make sure he's sharing that teammate's attribute or that they're also from the Belobog Heavy Industries. This will make sure that he's getting both that shield from Guardian as well as the crit rate boost of 16% when that shield is active. As long as you're paying attention to team compositions though, you shouldn't have any problem maximizing his potential. That's not all, but here's a cool little hidden mechanic if you do use Kalita on the team. If Ben is paired with Kalita, who is the leader of Belobog Industries, a lot of her moves will be greatly increased. Specifically, Kalita's basic attack, EX special, and ultimate all have coordinated attacks with Ben Bigger. These moves get much stronger, are really cute, and they even feature their own animations. For the actual teams, there's a few options. The first team is Mono Fire. In this team, he can function as a sub DPS and a tank of sorts. You can of course run him in that full Belobog Heavy Industries faction team, however it's very safe to say that Ben is a fairly universal unit beyond that. If you're lacking certain units in other teams, Ben Bigger can make the difference between a decent team and an outstanding one. So overall, there is a lot of teams that he can fit into, but you can also forgo that passive in some cases. Alright, now let's talk about the best possible build for Ben Bigger, so you can fully optimize his true strength. Starting with the W engines, his best in slot will be the one that was crafted for him, Big Cylinder. Damage taken is reduced by 7.5%. Additionally, after Ben is hit, his next attack is guaranteed to be a crit for an additional 600% of Ben's defense. Yeah, remember how I said he has insane damage? I mean, this is just a ridiculous W engine for him, and he can literally keep up with some of the limited event characters with things like this. If you don't have Big Cylinder, don't worry because there are other options. Spring Embrace is another A-rank defense engine. This will make him take 7.5% less damage, and when he's attacked, he will have his energy regeneration rate increased by 10% for 12 seconds. Here's the cool thing about this W engine though. If he switches out of battle, that buff is transferred and the timer is refreshed for the new appearing character. Although this one is a little bit more on the support side, it's still a very good option. But there's even a solid B rank W engine for Ben Bigger. Called Identity Base, it simply states that when Ben is attacked, his defense will increase by 20% for 8 seconds. That's also the order of what I would use on Ben, although you shouldn't have any trouble getting the Big Cylinder and even a couple of extra copies of it since it is an A rank. Now let's go ahead and talk about disk drives, and there is a clear-cut winner here as well. Remember that in Zenless Zone Zero, you get a total of 6 slots for these relics. In almost every instance, the best build for any character will be a 4-2 set bonus. For Ben, his 4-piece set bonus has a couple of options. You can run the Twisted Grindcore, which is an A rank set. This will increase his defense by 16% and make all squad members take 8% less damage. The S rank option is Soul Rock. This will also increase his defense by 16%. Upon receiving an enemy attack and losing HP, the equipper will take 40% less damage for 2.5 seconds, and this can only trigger one time every 15 seconds. As for the 2-piece, whichever one you don't use for the 4-piece, you want to use for the 2-piece. For example, if you're using the 4-piece Twisted Grindcore, use the 2-piece of Soul Rock, and vice versa. Just having that 16% defense increase is really good for Mr. Bigger, and will be a really good addition to his stats. Our cute little friends the Bangboos are going to depend on what kind of team composition you want, but for the sake of this, let's just say that Ben Bigger's your most important character. It's important to note that each Bangboo has an active, a passive skill, and a chain attack. Ben's best Bangboo, in my opinion, is named Safety. This little guy will focus on doing a lot of physical damage, and when you have at least one Belobog Heavy Industries character in your squad, his chain attack damage will increase by 20%. A further 20% will be added onto this if the enemy is burned or shocked, which coincides with Ben and Anton from the same faction. The second choice for Ben's best buddy is going to be Rocket Boo. This Bangboo wants to do fire damage and do a lot of fire anomaly buildup. In fact, if you have at least 2 fire attribute characters, which is also Ben's passive, Bangboo chain attacks inflict 80% more anomaly buildup. So definitely run Rocket Boo if you want to have more burn happen to the enemy. The third choice is the A rank Boo named Cry Boo. This little friend actually works pretty similar to Rocket and wants to go for that anomaly buildup. The main difference here is that Cry Boo is trading a lot of that damage that Rocket Boo has, but for a little bit more anomaly buildup. But ultimately, the Bangboo is going to be decided by what characters you have around Ben, whether you want to make a Belobog Heavy Industries team or a Double Fire team or anything like that. And that is it for the full guide for Ben Bigger. I mean, come on, you know you want to say it like that. To recap, our friendly bear has a lot of built-in damage with his defense stat and that perfect parry we discussed earlier. As an A rank fire defense unit that specializes in strike, it won't necessarily be that hard to build a team around him and get extra talents to make him stronger. In fact, because of his unique playstyle and kit, a lot of his best in slots are actually A rank instead of S, although you can still do the alternative. Also remember that Ben Bigger is free for everybody who plays the game as soon as they finish Chapter 2, which is the Belobog chapter. But let me know what you think of Ben Bigger and Zenless Zone Zero. I would love to discuss and hear from you guys in the comments. If this guide for Ben Bigger helped in any way, make sure you like the video. And while you're at it, you might as well subscribe for plenty more Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, and Gacha content. You're not going to want to miss any of it, and I have a ton of cool ideas lined up for all of you guys, including a full free-to-play guide and a certain Zuyuan guide of sorts for the second half of the patch. In the meantime though, I will see you guys in the next video, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.